Hey, yo, and welcome to the AW Journeyman podcast, the Easter edition of the podcast, fully backed in by the AFL, as we can never be wrong. I am JD, the Blues fan, who's been on the phone with Cripper's lawyer trying to get Harry Mackay off for the last 24 hours. I'm pretty hopeful. I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to do it. Joining me, as usual, is Nate McFooty, the Pies fan, who will be absolutely livid if they send Cam Rayner backwards back to the back line next week. And
oh yes,
the return. It's Mace Man, the Spaceman. It's the Freo fan who's refusing to hide behind the couch, and he's returned after a week at the Derby. How you doing, Maso?
I'm surviving. I'm surviving.
How are you doing, Nate?
Chris Fagan is an asshole.
Well, we are the Journeymen, and boys, let's talk some footy.
I guess I'll go straight into it then. Thursday night footy, Brisbane v Collingwood, and it was Brisbane by 33 points. But according to BT, Collingwood's still a chance. There's still a chance to win this one. We watched this game, or we live watched this one. I had the TV on mute, but apparently, yeah, BT was at his annoying best on commentary.
Always is.
I was joking, saying, hey, I was joking. We're 5 goals down. I'm going, hey, we're still a chance. But apparently, BT was taking it full on. Brisbane, last time they've lost a game at the Gabba at halftime, or leading at halftime, was round 13, 2015. So that second quarter blitz was the point of difference. And quite a few Brisbane players stood up, particularly their forward lining. Well, let's be honest, the entire fucking forward line. Joe Danaher, 20 disposals, 2 crucial goals.
Joey!
Charlie Cameron, though, career-high 6 goals. He's kicked 6 goals before against Collingwood. Second time in his career he's done that. But Cam bloody Rayner. Cam Rayner, career-high 4 goals, or second time in his career he's done that as well, but 17 disposals. Swinging him down forward. I've said it for the last couple of weeks. Cam Rayner has been wasted off half-back. Kane Corns said it straight away. I thought I'd, turn that shit up to 11, but Cam Rayner being wasted off half-back flank, and he delivered up forward. And Chris Fagan, please keep Cam Rayner up forward. He was the point of difference in this game, the reason why Brisbane got up by 33 points.
He should never step foot in the defensive 50 as a defender again after that performance.
They made a case for it, that's for sure. Best game of his life, because I was making fun of Nath after the game.
I don't know why I'm getting made fun of.
Cam Rayner just tore you to shreds.
It's because you called for it, and all of a sudden they did it against your club. Like, let's be honest, all of us thought he was probably starting defender this week. And then we start against Collingwood, and they go, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do exactly what Nate said, and we're going to put him forward. And he was the point of difference.
Yeah, I'll be absolutely pissed off if he's going back into defence next week against North Melbourne. You can't do that.
You have every right to. Now, I was going to say, your structure without a ruck at the moment is awful. You pointed it out, but after sort of re-looking into it, yeah, it's real evident that your structure is just all over the shop at the moment. 46 to 37 clearances in way of Brisbane. Now, that was always going to happen when the big O's in there, but with Darcy Cameron in there, that's probably a bit more even because he was doing a lot better in the ruck. So, yeah, nearly said it. Gonna say, have a shot every time I say the word interesting, fellas. Time for you guys to go back to the drawing board, I think, because I don't know. Do you think what you did on Thursday worked?
Well, obviously it didn't work, obviously, but I don't think it's a case of going back to the drawing board. I thought our effort was there, just not converting hurt us. There was a few players being called out for that one, and our defensive structure was exposed. People keep saying if you cut off Collingwood's direction into the corridor, you stop Collingwood. I don't think that's the case. I do think forced a turnover against Collingwood and counter-attack quickly and make them pay, that's going to work. And that's what Brisbane did, I think, 8 or 9 times. Half their goals was from turnovers or forcing turnovers on Collingwood. Counter-attacking. How many times did Brisbane get out the back? And how many times was Isaac Quaynor standing in no man's land, or Darcy Moore as well? That was the frustrating thing about it. I know Geelong in round 1 did that against Collingwood. They were 16 goals won at some point. They're just more skillful rather than quick, but Brisbane were just skillful and quick. Could have been an absolute bloodbath after half time. But yeah, that second quarter and halfway through the third quarter, it was a 50-minute blitz for Brisbane. I think 10 unanswered goals. I think there's not much else, or there's not much criticism on Brisbane. Just for Collingwood, though, there was no players that really stood out. I guess, obviously, you can say Nick Dacos with 38 disposals, but few key moments where you might want to take those back. Nick Dacos, Pendlebury, his leadership is, up there with anyone else in the comp.
Second to none.
Yeah, I was going to try and say that. Took the words right out of my mouth. But no Collingwood player really stood up in trying times. There was a few Collingwood players that, just weren't there on the day. Jamie Elliott kicking 3 behinds. Crucial set shots he missed. If he converts those, Collingwood get the jump on Brisbane early in the second quarter. Isaac Quaynor, for someone that was apparently training the house down in pre-season, he hasn't really stood up or had that breakout season just yet. Ash Johnson in the ruck was all right, but I'd prefer him just down forward, pinch hit in the ruck. I don't want him to be 50% in the ruck with McStay. My coaching hat for Collingwood next week would be to have Billy Frampton in the ruck. It's a bit unpopular, but Billy Frampton in the ruck, given St Kilda's got a small forward line.
Makes sense.
I think Markov should come in for McInnes, and I think either McInnes or Ginnivan should be the sub for Collingwood. There's something about the forward pockets being the sub, making a real impact on games. I think that's what Collingwood should implement against St Kilda. Going to be a tough one, Collingwood-St Kilda. It's a Sunday twilight, and it's going to be the match of the round for Gather Round. Scheduling-wise, not good for the AFL, but let's see how it goes at Adelaide Oval.
I was going to say, I got a couple of problems with the scheduling from Gather Round, just in general. But yeah, yours is particularly bad, considering the position of both teams now. I don't know where they thought... I mean, they had to have been thinking that St Kilda was going to be the ones who were awful, because there's no way they thought it was going to be you guys. I do have a concern with Collingwood's accuracy the last few weeks. It's been a bit in the toilet. It's one thing that I think is starting to cost you guys dearly. What do you think, Nate? Do you think it's something that they need to address? Let the forwards kick a couple 100 bags and get that accuracy correct? Because I tell you what, it's been pretty piss poor the last fortnight.
100%. But to be fair, 2010, Collingwood's goal kicking accuracy was shit, but we won the premiership. So I'll just hold back a bit.
Just pump the brakes a little bit. Pump the brakes. Speaking of people who need to pump the brakes, Carlton. Yeah, I reckon it's definitely the fans that need to pump the brakes a little bit. But 11-18, 84 plays 16-11, 107. Carlton by 23 points. Bit of an arm wrestle early on that turned into a bit of a goal fest for Carlton in the third, which turned into actually third and fourth, and then which turned into a bit of junk time for North. But there's nothing wrong with it, because every goal that was kicked went, there was money going towards the Royal Children. So nothing wrong with junk time goals in this game. I think a lot of people were criticizing Carlton, go, oh, they didn't put them away. I go, let's just say we're happy with the rest of the goals that were coming in just for the Royal Children's. But it was went to this game again. Great atmosphere from both teams. It was great to see North fans turn out. It was definitely 50-50, which was nice to see. We didn't outnumber them, sort of like I thought we would going into it. So well done, North fans. You showed up in droves and were vocal. That was the main thing. They were vocal. A little bit hard done by the umpires, I think. But I think from watching the whole weekend as a whole, you can't just pick that game out and say that game umpiring was particularly awful, because I think umpiring was particularly awful all weekend. So yeah, nothing really to say as an outlier in terms of free kicks for Carl. Because to be fair, I mean, the free kick count in the end was pretty even. Now, again, I do think junk time free kicks are also a thing where umpires try to even up the ledger a little bit. They pull little things out. It happens a lot later in games in those games where things aren't, I think, going the way the AFL would like. But it's more of I reckon that's a unconscious decision they do, where they probably realise they've paid a lot of free kicks one way. But also, one thing I've noticed about North is it's just very reminiscent of Carlton of old. When we cut our list deep, they're very, very similar to how we were back in, I think it was 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. They're going to be going through it the next four or 5 years. But I think it's very evident that they're pushing. I was going to say they're pushing themselves harder and harder. Their defense is getting better and better each week, I think, except for their lapse last week. That was an outlier, I believe. I think Tassie is something that they need to completely wipe off their schedule. I think to
be fair, I think it was more LDU and Simpkin missing from that game.
That too. Yeah, I don't know. I just think Tassie is they do not play well down in Tassie and haven't for a very long time. I do think Carlton are struggling to finish teams. This was a team that we should have put away. We should have at least, especially coming out of the third quarter, heading into the fourth. I think we scored the first goal or first 2 goals of the fourth quarter and just did nothing. Just stopped. That's where we stopped and just let North kick junk times. As I said, didn't care because it was all for the Good Friday appeal and things like that. But it's also like, we can also keep putting on those junk time goals. So putting away teams is something that definitely needs to be addressed, especially those lower level teams. We're struggling to do it. Best way to put it, we're the worst in the top 4. I also think we're winning I just think we're winning in some of the worst ways possible. I think the thing that's keeping us in the right up it is the fact that we've got 2 big forwards. For anyone who doesn't know, Harry Mackay suspended for a week at the moment.
For now.
Carlton more than likely going to contest it and get it. Should hopefully get it cleared. But say he misses next week, that'll be the test to show can Carlton play with basically a full forward line, full midfield, because Sam Walsh is coming back, Matt Kennedy's available, George Hewitt's in there, which I still think that's a whole nother story. I think he's still carrying that hand injury, and full defense, except for Williams. But I still think Lockie Cowan, give the kid an absolute applause at the moment. He's doing brilliantly to hold his own in the best 22. I think next week's the big test. Adelaide are in some fine form, but say Harry is missing, it's going to be even more of a test to show to see whether without both big boys down there, can we survive and get a win? Because that's the thing I think we're doing at the moment is we're still just surviving in a lot of games.
No, I was more impressed with North Melbourne than Carlton. That's weird to say, but Carlton controlled the footy a lot more than North Melbourne, but North Melbourne used the footy a lot more efficiently, a lot more quicker. They took their chances. Only 23 points. They were down by as low as about, I think, 50-odd points in that final quarter. So scoreboard does flatter them a little bit. The inaccuracy, you put the arrow on them, or goal kicking last week. North Melbourne didn't get the memo, unfortunately. But Carlton were just too good. It just took them a while to get into the flow of things. And I think Carlton need to start, once the winning culture comes in, they'll start putting away sides. You'll see in a few years' time, Carlton's going to be putting away these sort of sides comfortably. Put your feet up kind of stuff. It took you a bit of time to get into it. I did say another story, I guess, we can go over, or... All right, so MCG, Port Adelaide last year against Carlton. Carlton up by like 50-odd points, and JD turns to me and goes, how good's this? Get to put the feet up and relax. Not knowing in a quarter and a half, Port Adelaide got to within 3 points. So
as bad as Hawthorn. Hawthorn actually hit the lead. And I just sit there and was like, oh, no. I do want to bring up with a couple of things. So North's North has some diamonds, absolute diamonds in the rough at the moment. So they have some kids that are coming through that I am absolutely impressed by. Harry Sheasel, what a talent to watch live. If you go to any North Melbourne, if you go to see North Melbourne this year at all, you're going to see the number 3 roaming across that ground. He is everywhere. He is like a ball magnet. Brilliant to watch. Yeah, he's an absolute gun. Curtis Taylor, Darcy Tucker, played one of the
Darcy Moneybags Tucker.
Moneybags Tucker. I think he played. Now, I may as well bring it up. Mason's currently experiencing some weather issues in WA, so that's why we just got the old. I wish we could have the little caricature of him sitting right there, but yeah, Darcy Tucker. He played the best game I think I've ever seen him play. Bailey Scott, Tom Powell. You know, they're 2 players that are going to be absolutely serviceable for them. And they've still got players like Jackson Archer in the wings and things like players like that. I do think North Melbourne will be fine. They just got to get themselves back on track in terms of things like I think we spoke about it early on in the season, was administration, just getting the off-field right. And once the off-field's all right, everything should slowly start to fall into place. And they should be, you know, they're going to be that definitely off the bottom this year, nice and comfortably. I don't think they're going to fall too much further. They have been, my sister has dubbed them the Kings of Perth, which is a shame that Mason isn't there, because they're the only 2 teams that beat both Freo and West Coast so far. So well done to North Melbourne to, I guess, I don't know, they're starting to make calls as well that I think a team like that should. Subbing off Ben Cunnington was a massive call to do, especially to bring on Hugh Greenwood. But, you know, it paid off. Hugh Greenwood definitely looked a lot more lively. It's a like for like. It's a shame the game that they subbed Cunnington off in. But at the end of the day, I think Clarko explained it pretty well when he says that they said he didn't really fire a shot. He didn't. He was very quiet for most of that game. I think it didn't really help when you've got Ed next to you for the first half as well. So it was a little bit harsh for him. But let's just go into the Good Friday experience as a whole. Going to the game itself, it's very moving. It's very touching, and you can tell that there's what the occasion's about. You know, showing up at the station, you're rolling up to Marvel with the people with the money tins, and you know, a few sour sports here and there, but everyone mostly knew what the occasion was about. Everyone was very, you know, supportive. It just felt like a very supportive crowd. Like, there was a lot of kids there. Like I said, a few idiots here and there. I got a couple stories that I'll tell you. But yeah, so pre-game, they had they had a lot of kids roaming around on the ground. They had the teams come out. They had them line up. Had a big banner for the kids to walk through. That was real touching. Seeing some of the players, you know, give the kids some, you know, merchandise. I think Ollie Hollins, that kid is, you know, what a kid already. He just randomly walked over to some kid and just gave him a pair of boots. And everyone's like, oh, they're like, did you know that kid? And he's like, nah, I just wanted to make his day. So, you know, shout out to him. And there was a lovely video put out by Carlton where Vossi was basically saying, it's not your week. He goes, it's your, he goes, when he's talking about their week, he's talking about it's your week to make people happy and make people smile. And it's not your week to really be about yourself. It's about others. So yeah, it was really touching to be there for. The kid who tossed the coin, he was absolutely gorgeous as well. You know, I think he did the press conference with Clarko after. Like, even Clarko, showed his soft side the whole time. I think every player on the ground did. But yeah, it was just a moving experience. Absolutely hope that we get to keep it with North Melbourne and play them next year. And yeah, it'll be something I look forward to for years to come, I think. It's one of those games that does bring a lot of emotions out of people. Us probably, you know, we're very diehard fans. So, yeah, there was a lot of touching moments on Friday. And yeah, it's just, if you're a North fan, if you're a Carlton fan, get down to it. It was amazing. And 49,000 plus. I mean, what an absolute effort from both teams to get that sort of crowd. I think it was a record for Good Friday, which suck at Essendon. Of course, we can pull it off and you can't. They did hold the previous record, so...
I have a song I like to play. I don't have a uke, just a song to transition into the next game.
Oh my gosh.
And if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like you're not flag mantle at all?
Oh no. You know what's fun? The fun thing about this podcast this week is the first 3 games we get to cover. Pies, Blues, Freo. I'm the happy one this week with another win. Nathan's lost his winning streak. And Meso. Meso.
That's live scenes behind the couch.
You were so outclassed by that Adelaide outfit. It was ridiculous. You are so cooked at the moment that I'm just going to let you, you know what, without blasting them and doing a full-blown arrow, I'm just going to let you take over and talk about the game.
I'm just so deadpan. I am so dead already. Like, I haven't seen them play that bad since, 2016. Yeah, 2016, Ross Lyon. That was a hard watch. I kind of expected it, which is sad. They just wanted to be there. Like, Adelaide showed up. They were pressure heavy. They ran. They run and carry was phenomenal. They moved in a flood. They moved team, something that we have yet to figure out how to do. We barely got across the line against an injured West Coast. Well, I don't know. Like, it's the game plan as well as it is the players not putting in any effort. Like, you can see half of them just did not give a crap.
Well, my question to you would be, are they still playing for JL?
Showed up. That's what I don't know. That's a bit of a nuffy thing to go into, I think. I don't know. Like, is it too early to say that they've given up on the coach already? Like, it's too early to yell get the coach out.
I'm never one to, especially being a Carlton fan that's been through sack the coach for the last 10 years. I never want to see a coach sack, especially this early in the year. But one thing that was interesting, I think, to me, oh, damn it, take a shot. One thing that was really interesting to me was the fact that you, even against West Coast, never really felt like you fired a couple like really big shots. Like, you played a lot quicker, and a couple of people bought into it. That was the big thing I saw. Was a couple of people went, "Oh, Freo's back. They're playing quick footy," but it immediately in my head was going to be, nah, I have a feeling they're going to regress here because I don't know. I think that they aren't playing for JL, or they're at least, if they're not playing for JL, they're at least not playing his game style the way he wants it. Because there's no way, surely he's not implementing a slow, boring, that boring a game style.
It's all part of the plan.
It is. It is all part of the plan.
That's crazy to me to think that he's gone from
it's so
Freo.
slow.
But they were so quick last year.
Mundy must have been the glue holding us together.
Darcy Tucker as well.
The trucker.
No,
apparently he's like a good bloke.
Wasn't even playing enough. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's just a good bloke.
Like, it's just little things like that. And it's not just Tucker. It's Logue, Lob, those guys out the door.
I just don't think the other thing as well. We can't take a single thing away from Adelaide as well. Adelaide, you called it, Mace. Early on in the year.
I expected them to be 3-0. Yeah.
Yeah. And they should have been. They could have been another team that was undefeated. Realistically, you pointed that out to me, Nate, and said that those games were absolutely winnable. So realistically, you know, they're playing some real good footy this year and finally showing what that rebuild's made of. I think.
It's early on. Let's see how Adelaide go in the second half of the season. I'm not like criticizing or putting down for it. It's good to see them tracking well at 2-2. Should be 3-1 or 4-0, but consistency and not dropping guys like GEELvHAW, who had 18 disposals, kicked a goal late, 9 marks, 5 of those contested, and had 6 score involvements. So he's not kicking goals, but he's getting involved. Stuff like that. Rankin, Rochelle kicking goals for fun.
That's where I want to jump in for us, is that I feel not enough people getting dropped. Like, bad effort and bad playing is not being punished. And not just Taberner. I'm not just going to pick on Taberner today. It's in general. You know, he's injured at the moment, so unleash the Sturt.
You've been calling for
the love of God, unleash the Sturt. He's got on the plane. If he isn't played, I'm going to flip out.
I know Justin Longmuir's tactic after a poor performance: drop Bailey Banfield.
Yeah, every time,
pretty much.
And
yeah,
we on this podcast do not condone the dropping of Bailey Banfield.
Ever, not even the sub. Keep him on the ground. That's a guy that puts in effort. A couple of goals here and there, a couple of tackles, but
Banfield is our Karibo.
I want to know, like, if we go to, is this something I won't get?
Maybe.
I snuck that one in there.
I'm just gonna let it sit.
I heard you sort of hinting at it, Nate. Adelaide led from the front by Jordan Dawson. Absolute ripper performance.
In the famous words of JD, he was on fire.
On fire. I've
so
got some people.
27 disposals, but at 96% efficiency. Elite.
That's elite. 20 kicks, 7 handballs, 5 marks, 6 tackles, and a goal, if you don't mind. So, well, I mean, it's funny because people question why he got the... Now, of course, he didn't deserve it last week, but I think he made up for it this week for everybody.
100%. This week, he was much, much better.
Yeah, so Jordan Dawson, that Adelaide are well led when it comes to someone like a Jordan Dawson. He is a star of the game.
Can I just say as well, he took over the captaincy from Sloan, who was meant to be giving it to Tom Doedee. Speaking of Tom Doedee, did anyone see his scorpion kick to save the goal?
Yes.
He grew a third leg.
But it was a brilliant move just to throw your leg backwards and kick the ball like that. He realistically, I don't think he thought he was going to hit it. I think he just thought, let's see what we can do here. And lo and behold, he managed to
chuck the leg out. Yeah.
And lo and behold, it worked for him. And that's what I mean. Props to Adelaide. I feel like everything was going right for him. Sort of hoping they have a bit of a lull next week. As I sort of mentioned, not sure why a showdown isn't headlining. I'm just saying, I don't know why, if you're having an entire round in Adelaide, that you're not headlining it with headlining Gather Round with it. But I also get it where you probably want to sell the most tickets to Adelaide at the Adelaide team games. So you probably haven't took them play twice for that reason as well. No, it's more of a money decision.
We put the show down in Melbourne.
At Marvel on Sunday at 4:20.
What a tosser.
Damo Barrett. That is one of the best calls you've ever made, mate. Awful.
He'd like to have his time back on that one. I think he knows it as well.
I feel like I'm living in 2005. Jesus
Speaking of living in 2005, Richmond losing.
The good old days.
The good old days. Mason out again due to technical difficulties with. So unfortunately, Perth with I did have a look actually while we were having it's not good, not good storm wise. So Richmond taking on the Dogs, 12-12-84, plays 12-17-89. Dogs by 5 points in absolutely awful conditions. Anyone who lives in Melbourne knows how absolutely terrible it was on Saturday, and at the MCG, it absolutely showed. That ground, I think, is still recovering. So having a big, wet game like that is probably good / bad for it. But yeah, the Dogs, I think, ground out Richmond really well. But Richmond, they really did rally quite nicely. I think they trimmed. How big was the lead that they trimmed back? You're usually pretty good with.
Don't put me on the fucking spot, mate.
Damn.
It was about 3 goals in that final quarter. Dogs' criticism at times is they don't put teams away, or they give away a few chunk time goals. I know Richmond was still in it when Bolton kicked that goal 50 seconds to go, but Dogs could have ran away with it, I guess. They had a 5-goal lead during that second quarter, and then Jack Graham went off with a hamstring injury. Trent Cotchin came on as the sub, but seems like his leadership proved the difference in that second quarter for Richmond to get back into it and to have a 14-point lead at halftime. This game was won in the midfield, though, for the Bulldogs. Richmond got a free lesson in midfield dominance from the Dogs, led by Marcus Bontempelli. He was, in JD's words, on fire. 25 disposals, 25 disposals, 12 tackles, and 11 clearances. This was the AFL's version of a triple-double, 25 disposals, 12 tackles, 11 clearances. We defended Tim Taranto last week. I don't think his kicking is too bad, but his man-marking in stoppages and clearances in general, that I'm going to criticise him for. How many times was he 1 metre away from his direct opponent? How many times did Bontempelli get free rein at the footy at stoppages? Not just Bontempelli, Treloar and Libra as well. Plus 15 in clearances. You get what you deserve, Richmond. I don't think it was arrogant. It was just more lazy. Richmond are a good side. They're the sort of side that will go, right, we're getting destroyed here. Let's put an arm on them. Let's stop them. Let's nullify them. They didn't do that. That was very un-Richmond-like. They've got a few other concerns as well, Richmond. Recent news, though, is Nan Kovas has a syndesmosis injury, so he'll be out for a couple of months.
Yep.
So no main ruck. Samson Ryan's job security, super coach wise, is pretty good for him. Whether it's in the ruck, or whether it's in the ruck or down forward, because Tom Lynch will be out for a few months with a foot fracture. What do you boys think about Tom Lynch in that bump, and how many weeks do you think he gets? Because I don't think it's a matter of our opinion, because he's going to get suspended, whether we like it or not. It's just very contentious because his eyes were on the footy. He just knew how to bump. He knew, he just knew how to bump at the right time.
He hates him.
Oh, you want my opinion? I was going to let you take it. That's hilarious. You're going to like this, mate. So I was going to defend him. I was, because it's like you said, it's such a contentious one. How does he? It's such a hard one. How does he stop himself from hitting? I think the thing I heard Matthew Lloyd said is he just needed to bury his knee into Alex Keith, and I was like, but what if he collects his knee into him?
And it was like if he was doing this, like if he was actually going for a mark with the knee or the bump, or whatever, then it would look fine, like a tactical thing to do. But he's just shifted his body because he knew he was running underneath it, and it's not the first time Tom Lynch does that sort of shit. Like he'll make it look like he's going for the footy when really he's not. So
you reckon he's actually been caught out here?
He's been caught in Ultra 4K.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's still a contentious one. I think it's hard to actually change the motion And I think it was just pot luck the way he caught Alex Keith, because Alex Keith is also running blindly back into that marking contest.
Victim blaming.
Well, not really. I mean, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, I could say from back in the day when I got knocked out at footy running backwards with the flight into someone's knee, I'm not really blaming the guy who went for the marking contest.
What, did he go like this? Did he like turn full into it?
He does turn quite into it.
But to protect himself. Oh.
It is to protect himself.
Mm.
And I would agree with the fact that it is to protect himself. Because otherwise, if not, Keith just hits him front on. And that would, it's not a nice feeling either. But yeah, Alex Keith running blindly back into the pack. It's a combination of disastrous things that were going to happen. As they said, though, like there was a few things that could have been done differently, but it's all down to a matter of, milliseconds. It's not even people go, it's seconds. I go, it's milliseconds at times with some of these things. He's definitely missing a week or two.
Well, he's injured anyway, isn't he?
From suspension. From suspension, definitely missing a week or two. And then, yeah, like you said, he's already out with that big injury anyway. So I think some problems for Richmond early in the season. But I just have a quick question. A question without notice. Who are Richmond's up-and-comers? Like, who are their...
Ryan.
You both give me two straight off the bat. Beautiful. But who are their, like, real, like... you need a real firm base of youngsters coming through. You give me two good examples. I do think Judson Clark played the best game. Like, he did. He played an absolute belter of a game. He was on fire.
Best game so far.
Samson Ryan, he was serviceable. Yeah.
Hugo Ralph Smith.
Yeah, Hugo. There's some good. That's what I mean. I'm glad that I'm getting some good examples. But do you have them in a premiership side?
Yeah. So Richmond recruited Hopper and Taranto for the sole basis of let's push for another flag. It's obviously going to be relying on those players, but with the key injuries out to Lynch, Nankervis, Tarrant and Gibcus down back as well, being injured, and Broad being suspended. So far, it's a bit shaky where they're relying on these depth players to get them across the line now. They did not expect this. They did not anticipate it. They thought this depth would rise up as the season went on. It's pushing this depth up. They're going to need some sneaky wins while these guys are out to be any chance of playing finals at this point.
Didn't you guys comment on the depth earlier in the year?
We all did.
So it's time to put that depth to test.
When I was actually listening while I was driving around, Richmond were like on a 6-goal streak.
Yeah, second quarter.
Early in the second.
What the hell happened? I got out of the car, I was like, yeah, that game's over. They've got
it dried up a tiny little bit for probably about maybe half an hour, and then it started getting real wet again, and I reckon that turned it straight back in the Dogs' favour again. So when the dry ball was going around, the Richmond were a bit cleaner, and that's where a lot of those goals came from. They were pretty much all straight out of the middle too. So to be fair, their second quarter from clearance was probably quite good. I'm sure if you looked at these stat-wise, clearances in the second was probably through the roof. But that's probably the only quarter that they did it in.
Because it wasn't wet. Because Libba was held quiet at that point.
Well, he was on fire in that first quarter.
And then the second quarter, he disappeared. But that's when they were on top. But
he's an old man now, Libba. I haven't got too much more to say about that game. Anything else from you boys?
Arthur Jones.
Sorry.
Arthur Jones is the Dogs' lucky charm.
Who the hell is Arthur Jones?
The lucky charm.
He made his debut last weekend for the Dogs. And that's all I know about him.
He sounds like a character out of a children's cartoon.
Hey, Arthur.
Hey, Arthur Jones. Hey, Arthur Jones.
It's the little things that tick me off.
It is. I love that one.
Speaking of little things, the Gold Coast Suns. What the fuck's up with them?
The AFL's problem child is what I keep hearing.
Give credit to St Kilda. 53-point winners. Tony Lockett's on a rave party right now.
Please, okay. Anybody who doesn't follow us on Instagram, please go straight to the AWO Journeyman page, and please, that was amazing. And please go look at the post that Nathan made from Saturday night.
Don't put my name on that.
I mean, if he's going to kill one of us, it's got to be you.
All right, I'll take the blame for this one.
Yeah, I need to say this because you're going to love this. First note I have written here, Higgins on fire. And that's a genuine note.
5 goals, yeah.
9 goals in 2 weeks.
What?
He's killing it at the moment. Oh, Jackie Higgins.
Can he do it against
I've yet
Collingwood,
to watch
though?
a St Kilda game, I think.
I've not watched a single one this year because Nate, I usually watch the opposite game. And Nate usually watches I don't know why you've taken every St Kilda game this year. You just elected to take them. Well,
this game here, it wasn't about their defensive structure. I thought this was a good showing in the second half of what they could do against Collingwood. They made Gold Coast pay on the turnovers, and they were quick, like quicker than usual with their ball use, and they scored 100 plus for the first time this season. You'll love these few stats. Career highs for St Kilda players. Machedo Owens, 27 disposals. On fire. That kid has arrived. Stocker, 26 disposals, career high. Wanganede Millera, 24 disposals, career high. Higgins, 5 goals. Filippo, I know it's his 4th game, but 18 disposals, also kicked a goal. Saints, plus 120 in disposals.
Holy shit.
The way they use the footy. But the Suns, 96 turnovers. The most turnovers of any side in any game so far this season. Dare we say it, the worst side so far after the first 4 rounds.
Who? Fremantle?
No, Gold Coast.
Yeah, I was going to say,
second.
Freo, you could make a case for Freo. And I think if you're a Cats fan, other than today, you could make a case for Cats as well, being a bit of a disappointment early in the year. But I think I reckon Freo probably just pips out the Suns, purely based on the fact that they had more expectation, I think. Suns, I think every year there's just optimism about them rather than expectation.
Poor Sunny boys.
But yeah, that's a performance. They were just, I mean, I did see the highlights. They looked like they were just losing the ball too easily. They from what I gather, like they got a heap of clearance. Yeah, they won the hit outs, won the clearances. So they won the hit outs 46-37, won the clearances 45-35. So they're getting first use of the ball, but aren't doing anything with it. They're losing. I believe the next possession after that is either a turnover or they're getting a clearance that is going in and coming straight back out. So they're not doing anything with the football. And I think when they do what they did to Geelong last week, they proved what they can do with the football. They proved the sort of team they can be when it comes to, pushing teams and whatnot like that. So, I don't know. It's the Suns. The Suns are the biggest mystery I think the AFL has. Forget about the Power in terms of mysteries. Like, the Power love to tease us every year, but the Suns are the biggest mystery the AFL has. They have some weeks where they could be the best team in the competition. Then they have the next week, they're the worst team that I've ever seen.
Sorry, mate. So here's a praise for Gold Coast. Jared Witts was laid out. So Ned Moyle made his debut. He was solid. Or he did his part. So he defeated Marshall in the hitouts. Now, he's not going to fit into the side with Witts in it as well. But if any side's looking for ruck depth next year, I know it's early trade news talk or whatever, but Ned Moyle was serviceable. Someone that I think could be a solid second choice ruck for any side. That's all I've got for positives for the Suns. Meso, go ahead.
My positives was they looked like they were competitive for the first half. Then once again, I flick over and Saints have just blown them away. My question for you guys, seeing as you probably saw more of the game,
Question without notice.
Yeah, it was, well, to the disposal efficiency. Was that due to the poor disposals, or was that due to the Saints' pressure?
That was both. Like Saints obviously made them pay. But yeah, you can't have 66% disposal efficiency against a side like St Kilda.
I think that's one of the things that amazes me is I mentioned the hit-outs and the clearances, but they lost the possession count.
Yeah.
So they've lost the possession count 467 to 347. So that's a 120 deficit in terms of possessions. That's what, that's where it's killing them, is things like that. Like, you can get all the clearances you want, but if you haven't got the possession, and I'm sure contested possession, they lost that as well. So it's a bit of where to for the Suns again. Matthew Lloyd put it brilliantly, where everyone was all hyped up around that Cats win, and everyone's like, they've arrived again. This is a landmark victory. And I think he was the only man I felt like who just pumped the brakes big time and said, we've seen these wins time after time. Let's see them back it up, and let's see them do it consistently for 20 weeks of the year. So it's been 1 week later, and they immediately crumbled.
No, that's all right. I was going to say I will offer Gold Coast a juicy trade deal. All right. 1 Ben King for 1 Ethan Hughes and 1 Matthew Tab.
Did you just put tabs on the trade table for Ben King?
And Ethan Hughes is in there as well for cheeky steak.
I see his sweetener, is he? Ethan Hughes.
Yeah.
This is the Gold Coast Suns. The Gold Coast Suns will throw in a first-round draft pick to get this across the line.
Oh, that's right. They love being nice to us,
and they'll pay the
contract
contract
so much.
Actually, to be fair, I think
and Jeremy
that was the. I think that was the big thing. Oh, you still need that Jeremy Sharp deal to go through.
And somehow, some way, Peter Bell would be shat on for this deal.
All right, but let's be real again. Screw all that. Screw the imagination deals. What the hell is going on with them? Why can't they stay on track? Have they got the Dockery curse? Like, what's going on?
I think they've got their own curse.
It's just Gold Coast. That's it.
I want to see it succeed. They're unlike the GWS orange team yuckness. They have some heart to them. I want to see them succeed.
I think all of us do. I think that's the one problem with the Suns is they've got the backing of a lot of. I think most teams want to see them do well. There'll be the occasional team that just goes, "Nah, fuck them." But I think most people want to see the Suns do well, and unfortunately, they just can't put it. They just can't put it all together consistently. That's their problem to me, is that nothing's consistent. So they can't put anything together week after week. So, like you saw the Geelong performance, but then they come up against St Kilda, who, yes, St Kilda are a very good side, but that's a side that relatively was around their level at points last year. They were probably a step below St Kilda last year, but that's the level that they should be at. Was St Kilda last year / so realistically, and St Kilda didn't make too many changes in the off-season. That's where they should have been it was a good benchmark game for them, and they didn't fire a shot at all. So I think it's just that consistency factor for the Suns is they've got the players, like they've got a certain amount of players that I back in most weeks. Took's reliable. Anderson's becoming reliable. Who else is in there that's Witts is one of the best ruckmen in the competition. So they're
my boy. Yeah, Lockie Weller, my boy.
Weller, and Rowell. It's
Rowley.
One of those things where the talent's there. It's just putting it all together.
I guess my criticism, it's not really a criticism of St Kilda. Very good. They deserve to be on top of the ladder after round 4. But come the last month of this season, they've got guys like Max King, Jack Steele, Jack Billings, Zach Jones, who might be indefinite, Membry, Mackenzie Caulfield-Webster. They're all out at the moment. This St Kilda side right now is going to look completely different come season's end. We just wonder how much chopping and changing could potentially hamper their performance. They were 8-3 come the bye round last season. They fell out of finals contention. Yeah, that's going to be the challenge again. They've got 2 tough matches coming up against Collingwood and Carlton. Depending how they go in those 2 games, if they can get 2 wins out of that, then hands up, they're playing finals. 1 win, they're still on track. 2 losses, then it's okay. Things become a bit shaky. They'll have some good bounce back wins there before the bye round, but the next 2 games will be a real testament of where St Kilda's really at, particularly with the injuries they've got still. Moving
on to the game that I watched on Saturday night, and what a game I picked to watch. Swans v Port. 9-10-64 plays 9-12-66. Port by 2 points. 2 points.
What a horrible week for tipping.
Last week was the horrible week. But Ollie Florent holds his head high with his own individual performance. But we have to go straight into it. The kid celebrated, is going to go down on one of those celebrated too early compilations. And, absolutely shattering. Alir, he was so on to that ball the second it left the foot. No one else was. And he thumped that thing back into the field of play. And poor Ollie Florent, sad as all hell, celebrating on the ground. I believe I said it the other day. You should not celebrate until the umpire has made his official. Here we go. Here's the signal, because we've seen so many contentious calls where, even if it does make it, what if they go, I think it's a goal. Score review.
That would have been more epic.
But you know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm like, if he's celebrating too early, that's where my problem is with celebrating too early. Problem is, it looks so good off the boot. But on the side angle, it's like it drops short by a solid meter, 2 meters. So, like, if we had that side angle the whole time, we would have been able to see what was actually going on and what was actually taking place, because I think the angle we got the old SCG special of someone jumping in front of the camera.
I'm annoyed by that angle. Second time that's happened. They either have to get rid of that angle. It's a new angle they've put in recent years. But whoever's sitting in front of that camera probably needs to be told, hey, don't fucking stand up, no matter how good the moment is, or they got to get rid of that little row.
Just get rid of that one seat. It's one seat.
Or maybe just the rows. It's only a few seats, I'm sure of it. There can't be like 20 seats they got to block out because of it. But that one seat.
Every time.
Are they standing on their chairs and then jumping up and doing that, or what? Because are they putting fucking NBA players in that seat and they're just obstructing the view? Because that was a very annoying.
Slender
just
man.
ruined another SCG moment, which absolutely flat, but. I don't think anyone can. Like, I've seen a lot of people saying, Sydney, they blew it in the last few minutes. I think Port were brilliant to come back the way. Basically came back from 2 20-point deficits. They did it once in the second and did it in the fourth to get themselves back up. So I think they played that game brilliantly around the contest in the end. Took them a bit to get going, but once they did get going, Sydney just couldn't match them at all. So for Port to come back down from basically, if you look at it, a 40-point deficit over the whole game, well done. Got themselves over the line. Only just, but a win is a win. I'm sure they'll take those 4 points and just move on. But I do want to bring up Paddy McCartan. Yeah, what a rough one to watch that one was. I don't even think there was. I've watched it. I think I've watched it about 10 to 15, 20 times, and I cannot work out how he gets knocked out. Like it
has to be a certain part of the SCG that's hard.
Did he knock his chin?
That's what it looks like, Mace. Is he knocks his head or chin, and that's all it took. But it's the fact that it was it looked like essentially. Yeah, it looked like someone playing around with their little brother. Like, he just
it's like if you just
a little bit.
It's like if you just jump into bed and just land face first in the pillow. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, so he whacked his chin, and he was so out of it, it was scary. That was the thing. I think that was the scariest thing. It was such an innocuous knock, but he was so out of it. And it was like, okay, but it was good to see him in good spirits on the bench later in the game. So hopefully hopefully it's just a minor one, and he takes his weeks off and does all the right things and can look at continuing playing. But again, another concussion for McCartan is just, not something you want to see. And especially when his brother goes down with a concussion as well. So with head. Didn't want to do it for Paddy, but I'll gladly do it for Tommy. So Tommy went down with a head late in the game as well, early in the game as well. So poor McCartan family would have been having a pretty rough night on the couch, I would have thought, watching both their boys go down. But again, nothing to take away from Port. I think Port have shown the competition what their best is, but Port have also shown the competition what their worst is all in the space of the first month. So there's a formula to play Port to beat them, but when Port show up and are on, they're probably going to be one of the harder teams to beat on their best day. So the gap they need to bridge is quite wide. Can they do it? Who knows? My question without notice is the 2-2 Swans now. I've seen a lot of people writing them off for some strange reason. They're former grand finalists. What do you boys think of their early start to the year? 2-2, haven't really got their season started or really going. I don't think they've shown anywhere near the best they had last year. I think a lot of players are a bit down. A few players are a bit down on form. As we discussed last week, me and Nate, that they've got the buddy problem still going on. So, I guess what do you boys think of the big unknown that is the Swans?
Well, I think they just got to tinker a bit. No,
I agree. I don't think there's too much more to do to the Swans.
There was two interesting umpires calls in this one. Dan Houston, the rush behind, he gave away a free kick for that one. Apparently, not under pressure, yet someone was literally a metre behind him. He runs it between the point post and the goal post, yet the free kick takes place in the goal square. I would have thought there would have been an angle. I thought that's how the rule was. If someone rushes it behind, but it's it's a deliberate, depending on which goalpost they run through, that's where they set it up. If it's in between the goal square, set shot in front, no worries there. But he runs between the point post and the goal post. Yet the free kick takes place in the goal square. So that was one interesting one. Second one was the second one was the score. The second one was the score review. Jackson Mead or McEntee. Set shot goes through, yet apparently it was called touched. They score review it. Inconclusive evidence, yet there's not much of a deflection. Or the frames of it shows it across the line and then there was a deflection. Yeah, they still call it a point. It's weird, these score reviews. Score review. Let's bring up every single angle that we don't need and we'll make it as blurry as possible in 2023.
Need to work out. Score reviews needed to be worked out for years. We thought we were going to get it with the ARC. Nothing changed. I think the ARC changed one thing. We got Snicko, and that was it. So, and could not agree with you more in the fact that I actually think it's starting to get to the point it's costing teams games. So we really need to work it out and work out. And it feels like everything's going to a score review now. Like I'm seeing points. I'm seeing so much going to score review. Get a bit of confidence about yourself as a goal umpire and make calls. Like there's only a handful of them in the competition who actually bother to make the call.
Channel 7 gets called out as well. Obviously, Ollie Florence set shot falling just short. Apparently, it took him 6.5 minutes to bring up the replay of it. and on the right angle.
It did.
I turned it over to that game as well. I'm like, all right, let's bring up the replay. Let's see what really happened. 6.5 minutes. Now, granted, Jeremy Finlayson had a post-game interview. I wanted to hear that one, given his personal circumstances and just the game he had. 3 goals. Great mark as well with 2 minutes to go and kicked the match winner. I'll listen to every word he says. Also, Alir, obviously playing against Sydney. He was on. He was ready for the challenge. But still, 6.5 minutes to bring up the replay.
It took a very long time for them to play anything relating to it. So Fox Footy were a bit better. They were onto it pretty quick. They also had the goal line shot as well. So they were able to actually get a bit more out of it, Fox Footy. Well, let's move on to the Sunday games. Dons v Giants. So 11-22, 88. What a goal kicking performance by the Dons. Players 11-19, 75. Dons by 13. Inaccuracy nearly costs the Dons, but they get over the line against the Giants. They had too much to do late in the game. What more can you say? I think it was a battle that was won. It was a battle in the midfield between both sides. Both teams were actually quite evenly matched. Setterfield, who do they have running through it? Shield, Merritt. They were all at their best at times. And then at times you had, Caniglio. It was just, Kelly. I think for first 30 seconds of the game. Kelly had one of the best openings to a game you'll see for a very long time. So, well done to the Dons. They pushed past the Giants, who I think... Now, you mentioned it earlier in the year about their top-end talent. I think their top-end talent's a bit cooked.
GWS?
Yeah. Based on some of these
enough.
Performances. The last, it feels like only one of them has a good performance every couple of weeks.
It's not coming together for him.
Yeah, it doesn't come together ever. It feels like Green had a good performance this week. Both Greens. One had to dig in really hard. He was getting the hard tag the whole pretty much from the second quarter, but he really dug in deep, and he makes. It's funny because he's probably now classified as a top end talent, but it's taken him a while to get there. When realistically, he's been the heart and soul of that midfield for the last few years. Tom Green. But Essendon, absolutely. Essendon, they're now. We've said it a lot this podcast because we are getting to that point of the year where I think teams they've shown us enough. But I think Essendon are another great mystery of this year, where who knows where this team ends up. I don't even know what their best is. I don't know what their worst is this year. It feels like they're still just going at the moment. I'm not too sure.
Still in second gear.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what Essendon's capable of this year. I've seen a lot of Essendon fans say that they're capable of making a final. They're not winning it. That's from an Essendon fan mouth, not my own.
Because Essendon, they're
right.
I think it's pretty clear they're not going to be a bottom side. Like, forget the wooden spoon prediction I had. Yeah. They're not going to be in that bottom 4, bottom 6. They're in that transition phase right now. Like, if they finish 9 to 12, that's depending on how they get to that point. It'll be a plus. If they're a top 6 side, then they fall back in the last month, then they'll be disappointed. But so far the signs are there. They're an undersized forward line, undersized down back. They're still getting the job done across half back defensively and down forward. The only negative for Essendon in this game was Sam Wiedemann and Head, who will probably miss his clash. He'll miss the clash against Melbourne against his old side. So Melbourne's got a bit of a, not a free day against Essendon with the forward line, but Tools, they'll have that covered easily. Jake Stringer kicking 4 goals, 6.
And
the main reason. The top that makes up for the behind the kick. Fair enough. But what is it with playing GWS? So round 1, Adelaide, 12 goals, 18. Round 2, West Coast, 14-16. Round 3, Carlton, 9 goals, 20. And Essendon, 11 goals, 22. And this isn't just this year. Collingwood last year also kicked 11-22 against GWS. There is something about this team.
Mate, keep an eye on that one, because that's something that maybe there's more rush behinds than average as well.
These aren't set shots that are just missing too. These are like simple misses as well that should be converted. It's got to be the uniform. What is it about GWS that makes teams kick shit?
Good call.
I just noticed. I'm looking at round one. Okay, Adelaide 12-18. And West Coast, they won comfortably, but 14-16. Did anyone see Adam Kingsley's spray at three-quarter time?
Yes.
Do you think that was misguided? Because they're only down by a goal. Now, they were actually in front with about a few minutes left in that third quarter. They gave away a few goals, but that spray did not work, clearly.
Depends what it was directed at. I think to light a fire under him for the last.
Apparently it was that, yeah. They contested possessions in the last 5 minutes, went down big time. That's what the spray was about. But it does feel a bit misguided given the response they gave.
Yeah, I think he was he tried something, didn't pay off. I don't think to look too much into sprays anymore. I think a spray is it's just something that's needed every now and again. Sometimes they're misguided though, like you said, and I think that's probably one. Now, the Witch's Hat game is what I've dubbed this one. Eagles v Knees. Oh, mate. The second half was purely like watching a team play against a bunch of Witch's Hats.
It was.
9-9-63, plays 19-12, 126. So that was the D's by 63.
Shocked.
The way
I'm fucking shocked.
The D's showed up, they flexed their muscle, and they left.
Arrive, raise hell, leave.
That's all they had to do. They put on an absolute clinic against this game. We always have, I think, one game every week that we just don't need to go too much into, and this one's perfect for us. There's a few things we need to touch on, but this game was so clinical for Melbourne that they're just moving on to next week. And the Eagles, my big thing with the Eagles is the Eagles' injuries. This is a massive concern for this club. The injuries that they've got now. I believe they got through this week unscathed. Elliot Yeo was a precaution.
Yeah, I was thinking, at the end of the third quarter, if that was an injury, oh boy. But just saw it.
It was a precaution because he's coming back from that calf, so fair enough. Put him on the bench. But this is what their injury list is currently looking like. You got McGovern with a hammy, Chesser with a knee, Cripps with an ankle, Nick Nat with an Achilles, Ryan with a hammy, Shuey with a hammy, Witherden with a concussion, and Yo has just come back from a calf.
Shade with a
Dom Shade. Yeah.
Oh, and Dom Shade with the throat. Sorry, that wasn't listed on the...
And that was
late during the week. But Dom Shade with the throat as well. So, they're absolutely decimated at the moment. And there is others on there. There is a lot of secondary players that I'm not too sure they could be players. These are depth players who are also injured. So their injury list is looking 10 to 15 players deep nearly already. This happened to them last year. It happened to them the year before. What is going on at West Coast with that fitness department and the soft tissue injuries that are going on?
To be fair, a couple of those in the Derby were compact injuries.
Yeah,
that's been
like absolute freak injuries.
But two
were
reoccurring hammies.
Yeah, hammies. Yeah. But as sad as to say, that was expected throughout the year for, McGovern. Shuey's done. Shuey is done. Sorry, West Coast fans, but he's done.
He is.
Gov, maybe a year. Nick Nat should probably hang up the boots as well. And, you're in full rebuild mode. And to be honest, you guys will probably bounce back quicker than we will. So just strap in, support the young kids.
Strap on.
And, and enjoy this horrible ride because it's going to be a while.
Now, I've been seeing going around that McGovern's going to be offered a 2-year deal.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's what I said as well. But a 2-year deal is looking like what's on the cards for McGovern. So
It should be
not
one.
too sure. I mean, what do you think of that,
I'd give him
Nate?
one.
Something like that.
2 more years of Collingwood kicking it to Jeremy McGovern in games against West Coast. I'm looking forward to it.
He'll get up always for those games.
They gotta hit the draft again. And there's some good WA talent again.
Now,
Once again, split picks and go ham.
Now, the criticism now for West Coast is apparently that they're not hard enough at the trade table. They're not hard enough with free agencies. So yes, they've hit the draft this year. They're going to continue doing that. But the criticism now for them apparently is they need to make a big trade. They need to, throw around some cash. They need to be a destination club.
Was Tim Kelly coming in? Nothing for them.
Yeah, we're WA. You can't expect big name talent to come to a side that's faltering and in a rebuild mode, and to then have the shitty travel expectations. It's not going to happen.
It's very rare that we see guns go from Victoria to WA.
Yeah, it's not going to happen for us either. We've tried to bring in players, but none of them were A grade. The closest to A grade we've had is O'Meara to come over.
Yeah,
in recent times. Yeah, am I forgetting somebody? No.
Well, in terms of
That's
potential,
it. That's what
Jackson.
I can think of. Yeah, Jackson potential, but A
he's
grade,
from WA.
Yeah.
They're both from WA.
I don't
Just
know.
some last things to touch on with the D's and Eagles. Brody Grundy, good to see him back to some absolute on fire form. I know you weren't happy with it.
No, I hate it. No, good on him. He's going to relish this opportunity.
Really well.
He's going to relish this opportunity playing solo ruck for Melbourne. It seems like it's working because Oliver had 34 disposals, 10 tackles, 10 clearances, and Petrarca dominated as well. Silver platter servicing for Melbourne for the next few weeks. And when Gawn comes back in, it makes it even better. And they've also got a headache down forward, Melbourne. T-Max kicking 4 goals, Van Rooyen's kicking goals, and Ben Brown is going to come back in as well.
I mean, what was expected from West Coast this week?
Lose by under 10 goals, and they couldn't even do that. I don't know. It was a witch's hat performance. There's really not much to criticise them for, unfortunately.
They're going up against premierships from a couple of years ago with a bunch of kids in the side. I don't know what was expected of them.
Andrew Gaff laid 9 tackles.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That's about it.
I think the expectation was more that they, your expectation is that no matter where you are on the ladder, you're still showing up each week and being competitive. So I think that all they had to do was show up, be competitive. But the problem was by the end of the game, they were just witches' hats. There were too many times where they didn't lay a tackle on, didn't do a second follow-up. And those where a lot of their players need to, learn from and get used to doing some of those things. It's a lot of the younger kids.
Oh, they'll learn from this game. They will definitely learn from this game.
A lot of
going to watch the footage back. Yeah.
A lot of learnings to come out of this one.
Yeah, and it doesn't help when the D's synergy between their mids and their forwards is currently just off the chain. The connection between them is just too good at the moment. You can't match it. So all I could say is I can't even think. I lost it out of my brain.
JD, right. I'm going to do a Geelong fan impression after round 3. Oh, we suck. Oh, it's Cross's motor.
Is that a 50?
Fucking grow up, Geelong fans. 0-3. You've 0-3. That's all. Just 0-3. And what about the ego as well? We're seeing a lot of podcasts and talk shows discuss the round on a Sunday night, Monday morning before the Geelong game. And they're like, what about us? You haven't talked about us yet. Well, we're going to talk about you. There's really not much to talk about because you won by about 80-odd points.
We got another game. It's funny. I joked and said we usually have 2. We usually have one game that we barely cover. I've got another game that I barely want to cover, and it's this one. I listened to this one on the radio. That's how much I care, how little I cared about it.
Even Hawthorn
I fell asleep.
Yeah, Hawks were competitive in the first half, but even then it was a bit of a slog. The wet weather came in, unfortunately, but then the second half, Geelong just went, boom, here comes the boom, ready or not. Ha, how do you like me now?
15 goals to 1 in the second half, Geelong's way. An absolute dominant performance. The Cats got rolling because they were down by 8 going into that half. So the funny thing as I heard on the radio was Daisy Thomas sitting there going, I have a feeling that Geelong's going to win by about 40 plus. And this is when Hawks were up by 8. Everyone's like, huh? And it's like, yeah. Because you could tell, like, Hawks had to be out to a 40-point lead for there to be anything interesting. I would agree, for there to be anything interesting to happen in that second half. Second half just went to script. Hawks got steamrolled by, an absolute class of, the class of the Cats. Because that's what, we always say the cream rises to the top. That's what happened today. It was just the cream did rise to the top. A lot of players finally showed up to play for Geelong who have been missing for a few weeks. The problem is the only reason they showed up was because they played Hawthorn. So it's still kind of sad. I still think Geelong have a lot of problems in terms of players going missing at the moment.
What do we got here? What do we have to say? Once again, it is my shithouse of a team that is in the firing line. I'm not even angry anymore. It's just disappointment.
You sound like a disappointed father.
That sounds so much worse.
It's just, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed in you. Here's an interesting stat. Goalless quarters since the start of 2013, and we top the list for 73.
Wow.
The next up is Carlton at 68, and the next one after that is Melbourne at 63, and fourth is GWS at 62. If that doesn't say that we have an issue with our game plan, I don't know what does. It's hard to watch. I think Nath said that one of your mates last week said that they were the hardest, most boring to watch team in the AFL. It's hard to disagree. It's hard to be a fan sometimes. It really is. I kind of feel embarrassed to wear my jersey out in public. That's that feeling. That's how bad we are.
In WA too, two-team town.
It's rough. It's hard to do. All I've got here is that what is it? Why aren't they giving a shit? I don't want to watch my team play anymore. What's going on with the coaching? We've gone backwards so far. We are no longer flag mantle. We are freeze mantle.
Slow mantle.
Slow mantle. Glacier mantle. Whatever you want to fucking call it, that's what we are. And I don't want to spend any more energy. It's just
the arrow's like pew, pew. It's like a little arrow this week because he was so disappointed. It was more just lift your game, please. It was more of a begging.
Show some effort. Show some effort, guys. I don't care if we lose as long as you fucking try.
It's fair. It's very fair.
Half the team looked like their cat had just been ran over. They didn't want to be there. Oh no, I get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to play a sport that I enjoy. Oh, fuck me. Put some effort in. Yeah, exactly that. No, I got nothing more to say. Fuck them.
Fuck.
Let's go break some hearts.
Boys Club award time. So player I went and saw. So I went to Carlton and North on Friday. Got to see this player live, and I think I saw him cover the entire ground 18 to 20 times over. He was everywhere in terms of running. Curtis Taylor from North Melbourne. I'm getting him in nice now before he gets above 100. He's going to get there because he's an absolute star.
A North player. Wow.
A North Melbourne player. So well done, North. You've broken the Richmond streak, which you had a chance, Richmond. All you had to do is play Thompson fucking Dow. But the performance that he had was 18 disposals, 14 kicks, 4 handballs, 8 marks, 1 tackle, and 1 goal, 2. And he covered, I think he covered the most, basically covered the most on the ground. Not meters gained or anything like that. I'm just talking in terms of kilometers covered. I think he covered something like 16 to 17 kilometers, most on the ground. Ollie Holland second, as usual at the moment. But yeah, medium forward, was drafted in 2018, made his debut in round 8, 2019. He's 188 centimeters, 82 kilos. He's played 56 games and has kicked 25 goals. And welcome to the Boys Club, Curtis Taylor.
You remember this, pal? You're a boy in a man's world.
All right, boys. Go back to Saturday night, April 8th, SCG, Sydney v Port Adelaide, and Ollie Florent refusing to kick a goal after the siren to win the game has actually fast-tracked this week's inductee into the Stephenson Warrior Hall of Fame. Flashback, Sunday, July 14th, round 15, 2002, 1:10 p.m. at the SCG. Sydney v Port Adelaide. Barry Hall kicks a running goal to put Sydney in front by 4 points with 27 seconds left. Port need a hero. Centre bounce. Primus with the hit out. Scramble, but ball's flicked up to Schofield, who kicks inside 50, and a mark is taken by my boy, Jared Polton. Jared Polton, taken pick 5 in the 1998 preseason draft. Ironically, made his debut round 1, 1999, against Sydney at the SCG. Noted as a halfback flanker or a back pocket plugger, and also noted as an impact player. So why the fuck is in Port Adelaide's forward 50? I don't know. But anyway, guys, stop. Jared Polton's taken a mark with seconds left. The siren's gone. Crowd pops. A shot after the siren to win the game. This is what you dream of. Every kid in the backyard with big trees lined up with a footy before mum calls you in for dinner. Shot goal after the siren to win it. Jared Polton, your time has come. Drop punt. Your time has come. Keys in the ignition. Finger popping in the kitchen. Jared Polton became the 35th VFL AFL player in history to kick a match-winning goal after the siren. Jared Polton.
What a smile.
88 games, just 20 goals, retired at the end of 2005. Unfortunately, playing for Port Adelaide, he did not play in the 2004 Premiership due to a hamstring injury. No Premiership medal, but an induction into the Stephenson Warrior Hall of Fame is good enough for me.
I had to look up who that was.
Yeah, I was wondering what Meso was doing, and then he put it. You didn't see. He put his face up on the screen. I died.
I saw it. I was trying to keep my.
You see this head blonde head pop up.
What a cheeky boy.
What a boy.
There's only one true cheeky boy in the AFL.
Yeah, well, yeah, there it is.
Oi.
What a cheeky boy.
It's cash time!
6 matches this week, not 5, whatever. Just the one. Ring of Honor. The Honor Club episode 6 against Tony Nese. Myself, JD, and Meso unable to watch it at this time. I think geographical issues.
We're also just not going to sign. I don't know if I want to sign up to Honor Club when it's another service I have to pay for.
Yeah, exactly. But
how much is it?
It'll be a guarantee. It's like $6 to $10. Guarantee.
For Ring of Honor as well, we've got to see improvement from Ring of Honor first before we make the investment. But Takeshita v Tony Nese, Honor Club episode 6, at the UBS Arena in Elmont, New York, 10 minutes, 25 seconds for the win. So we're 5 episodes in. Takeshita's had 10 matches, 9 wins, and a loss. He's either a backstage politician or he's on the up. He's the real deal.
He's our boy.
But we do have to cover some news as well. When I found out through JD that Takeshita was meant to be on the main card or super card of honor against Will Ospreay, and then getting what we had against Willie Mack, a decent match, but what could have been?
What could have been?
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
That's my initial reaction was, don't tell me that was the plan.
I didn't mean to ruin it for you. It was just
I know,
the fact that's what I read. And I went, no.
Yeah, everyone had that reaction. Come on, Will Ospreay, lift your game.
First Takeshita. Like, and you know, it's unfortunate. Hey, to be fair though, means we got to win this. I don't know if we faced Ospreay if we would have got a win. So
would have been good though.
But that is true to watch. JD's just gone, and I'm about to go soon. But that's another episode.
I thought he was just sitting there.
That is another episode in the books. In the famous words of JD, though, please click like and subscribe and drink more water. JD's back. He may say this, but yeah.
Hydro homies.
Here we go, JD. Finish this off.
I got the intro ready. We are the AWO. We are the Journeyman. JD, Nate, and Meso. Remember to follow us on Instagram at AWO Journeyman. Subscribe to our Spotify and YouTube. Also at AWO Journeyman. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff, and please drink more water.
That's some quality H2O.
Shout out to Robbie for this theme, man. What a theme, Robs. Well done, Matt, Nate, with your skull in there.
A bit thirsty.